Hi, my name is Abby Moore, and I'm presenting on the elderly and disaster. So, elderly are more likely to be victims in a disaster. Reasons why elderly people are less equipped to deal with disaster may include medical needs, physical needs, and/or cognitive needs. So, due to the extra assistance required for elderly people to leave unsafe situations, many people don't have access to necessary help in order to evacuate in a disaster, especially without adequate notice. For example, 71% of Hurricane Katrina victims were over the age of 60, and 47%, which is almost half, were older than 75. Despite being only 15% of the total New Orleans population at the time, people over the age of 60 comprised of 70% of the casualties of Hurricane Katrina. So, elderly in nursing homes and assisted living is a big problem when it comes to dealing with disasters. Oftentimes, people in nursing homes are forgotten about in the midst of a disaster, and one reason that this happens is that it's the responsibility of the facility to make arrangements to evacuate their patients. Sometimes, in the midst of a disaster, everyone's, one all for themselves, so this doesn't necessarily always happen. Um, Said that 70 nursing home residents died in Hurricane Katrina, because many elderly were abandoned by their caretakers, and little to no information is available about what happened. So, elderly people are a lot more likely to rely on medicine on a daily basis. However, in a disaster, access to receiving medicine can be cut off for days or even weeks. Disasters can destroy homes or pharmacies or restrict transportation in order to refill prescriptions. Additionally, oftentimes responders are focused on other problems, and this goes unnoticed or uncared for. So even if somebody is able to survive the disaster itself, they may not end up surviving because they aren't able to get the medicine that they rely on to live. So one thing that exists to make it a bit easier to hopefully obtain the medicine that is necessary is in Florida, the emergency prescription refill law, which makes it easier for elderly people and everyone in general to get the medication that they need in preparation for a disaster. So this law guarantees a 30-day medicine supply if a hurricane warning is issued, a state of emergency is declared, or an area has started its emergency operations center and emergency management plan. So one thing that's important to deal with a disaster for seniors is creating an emergency kit that includes the necessary items to withstand a disaster for senior citizens. So this would include more items than an emergency kit for the average person would. So things that would be included in this kit, for example, would be mobility aids such as a wheelchair or walker, durable medical equipment, visual aids, personal sanitation supplies, hearing aids, identification and personal health information, weak supply of prescription medicine, first aid kit, communication plan in case of blocked roads or no internet and downed phone lines, emergency care plan for elderly living in assisted living, food and water, extra cash, and extra clothing and blankets. Additionally, shelter can be such a hard thing for elderly people to obtain once their house becomes unlivable. So Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act now requires that all shelters and emergency services need to be accessible to people with disabilities. And here are my citations.